there. I hope your summer is going well. It has been very wet here in Minnesota. In fact, it reminds me of the days when I used to live in Olympia, Washington, where June was still kind of chilly and had light rain a lot of the days. Our plants here look like mid-July. They're large and bloom and kind of flopping over already. So I am really hoping we get a little more heat for July. I'm not actually sure when you're listening to this, but I'm recording in June. So we'll see. I'd like to get outside a little more. And, here we have to kind of enjoy the heat because in the winter it's very cold. I know you've heard that. The winter is very cold here. So I hope that you're enjoying your summer wherever you are. Well, today we're talking about exercise. We'll talk about it for weight loss. We'll talk about it for health. We'll talk about it for menopause. And just excited to share this information with you. Now, I really hate disclaimers, but I'm going to give you one now. Women in the menopause transition, if you do not exercise at all, it would be a good thing to check in with your doctor or medical provider and find out how to start exercise if this isn't something you do. You may need some testing ahead of time. You may need advice about how to proceed if you have medical issues or joint issues or other body issues. And they can advise you how to start low and go slow, because that really is the answer for starting an exercise program. Also, they can talk to you about paying attention to how you feel when you exercise, because if you aren't feeling well, if you're short of breath, or if you're having any heaviness in your chest or nausea, these are things that need medical attention. So do pay attention to this if exercise is new for you. Now, I'm excited to talk about all these things, and I think you're going to be surprised about some of the things that I bring up. So if you listen to my other episode about exercise for weight loss, or have seen me on the internet, I'll tell you that exercise is not proven for weight loss. They keep trying to study it. They keep doing all the things, and really you can't prove it, because you can't outrun a bad diet. That's the saying, and it's true. You can't outrun a bad eating style, really. The food part is always important as well as sleep and hydration and active stress reduction. So this is not all bad news, because I have some ways that exercise can help you get some of these other pillars that do help with weight loss for sure. Okay, metabolism. We're always worried about our metabolism, right? So people say, oh, your metabolism just drops at menopause. And this can be true, but does not have to be. So it turns out that all humans start losing muscle mass in their mid-30s. Everyone. Now, people who experience menopause have a big drop in estrogen at midlife, and that causes an acceleration of this loss of muscle. So you're losing muscle even more. And we can look at older people and notice that a lot of them look a little frail, skinnier as far as their arms, a little unsteady on their legs. They have lost muscle mass. So your resting metabolism is based on, if you think of yourself sitting quietly in a chair or sleeping at night, it's percolating all the things in your brain, doing all the processing or cleanup that needs to be done there. It's pumping your blood through your body. It's helping you breathe in and out. The heart is going, the digestion, and it's also maintaining your muscles. So when you lose muscle mass, that is the drop in metabolism. Now, this does not have to happen. So what can you do? Strength training. Now, this can be done with weights, machines, resistance bands. I know some pretty buff people who travel a lot, who do a lot with resistance bands, or body weight exercises. I have noticed that now that I go to more conferences, that even kind of your decent mid-range hotel has a gym and has weights in it. So you want to, start low and go slow, but you want to get stronger. So this means if you're starting at a certain color band, you want to move up eventually to the stronger band. If you're using weights, you want to get to a certain level of reps and then go to a higher weight. Body weight exercises are for when you cannot do anything with weight, and then they can be great for if you're traveling, but you do want to be doing things that make you stronger. Now, people worry about this, and I'll say women at midlife worry about this because we grew up in the 80s and everyone would say things like, you look masculine if you look strong and don't bulk up. I told my dad I was lifting weights one day. He said, what are you doing today? And I said, oh, I just got back from weight training. And he said, oh, you're not going to get big and bulked up like those bodybuilders, are you? This is a worry, right? And it is from the 80s, where the only people that bulked up who were women were bodybuilders. So I want to reassure you that you may notice some muscle definition. I think we kind of enjoy seeing women's arms with defined muscles now. You may notice that your calves look very defined, and you may see some muscles in your thighs, whereas before it was just less defined looking. And these things are desirable in the current era. But also, I want you to know that people who do bodybuilding really have to eat a very specific diet to get that bulk in their bodies and in their life. So you can do this weight training and you will get stronger. You will probably like how your body looks, but you're very, very unlikely to get bulked up. So try not to worry about that part. But again, like I said, metabolism goes up with more muscle. How can you follow this as well? If you go to a gym that has an in-body machine, it will give you some measurements like percent fat, percent muscle, and you want to watch that muscle percent go up. All right. So that can help with metabolism. Can help with weight loss. Exercise equals better sleep. Good sleep is crucial for weight loss. I hope you have heard this. You have a really hard time even telling if you're hungry or full on the day after you've slept poorly. These are due to our hormones ghrelin and leptin. If you haven't slept well, your ghrelin will just be high. And ghrelin signals that you're hungry. So you're all the time going to be thinking, I think I might need some food. And you'll be wondering, I just had lunch. Why am I feeling like I need food? It's hormonal. So sleep is really crucial for being able to understand when we're hungry and full. The great news about sleep and exercise is that almost anything helps. You can do something mind-body like yoga, tai chi, those kinds of things. Strength training, moderate aerobic workouts, all help with sleep. So try any of these and whatever you like. It will probably help you sleep better. Okay. Exercise for active stress reduction is also great. Lower stress equals easier weight loss. Now, women in the midlife transition have higher cortisol levels. Some of you have described to me that you feel on edge more often, or you have new anxiety that you didn't have before. So you can bring this down in different ways, and one of them is with exercise. So high cortisol makes your body feel like there's an emergency and it doesn't want to let go of anything. So it makes weight loss very hard. So lowering your stress actively makes weight loss easier. So what kind of exercise is good for stress reduction? Again, the mind-body stuff is good, right? Walking is very good. And I mean walking at a moderate pace. Something that is fun is good for active stress reduction. So what would that be for you? Do you like to play a sport? Do you want to learn pickleball? Do you like to be out on the golf course? Do you like to turn on the music and dance for 20 minutes or take a class or do Zumba? Any of these things are active stress reducers. When you get done and you say, oh, that was fun, you know you've done an active stress reducing exercise. So it can be almost anything. It depends on you. Now, we've read a lot of information about exercise, and we talk about there's moderate cardio, there's HIIT, there's really vigorous aerobic exercise. Now, the studies that recommended that really vigorous cardio, like you're on the Stairmaster just pumping it out, or the elliptical, or whatever it is. Now, it turns out those studies that showed a benefit for that kind of really vigorous aerobic exercise showed a benefit in men. So really, for women, you want to do something more moderate. I go to a cycling class a couple times a week, and one of them does have this little section where it pushes it to super high cardio, and I just stay moderate. I put the weight up a little higher, I pedal slower, I do my own thing, and then we get back to the fun programming where it's more moderate for everybody. And that works great for me. People who push that aerobic to super vigorous and then will say, I just don't feel great, are hearing what their body is telling them. They don't feel great. Sometimes your cortisol will go higher if you are at perimenopause, menopause, or beyond, if you're doing that super vigorous workout. So pay attention to your body cues and find something that feels like active stress reduction. I get done with that cycling class, that indoor cycling class, and I got a big smile on my face and a flush in my cheeks, and I feel great. And so I know that I'm getting that stress reduction. Okay, this one's kind of a hack, but it is recommended for people with high blood sugars, with diabetes, with prediabetes, and I'm going to recommend it for women in the midlife transition because we also have a natural bump in insulin resistance. So the 5-minute walk for weight loss. If you can take a 5-minute walk, 5 to 10 minutes after a meal, your blood sugar curve will be lower than if you do not take a 5 to 10 minute moderate walk after a meal. So your blood sugar does not go as high for the meal, and so your insulin, which is your fat storage hormone, also does not go as high. So everything is better. You are reducing your risk of diabetes by doing this, or reversing it. If you have type 2 diabetes, you'll be moving away from more severe diabetes. And for women in the menopause transition, this can really help with weight loss. It's funny, they've actually studied this and they said, well, if the 5 to 10 minute walk is good, maybe a workout is even better. And it turns out it wasn't. So literally, the 5 to 10 minute walk is the perfect thing to do after a meal. And I hate to say that because I hate perfection. How do people do this? Sometimes, if you can go outside in nature, that's really nice. I have literally taken my dog out and we've circled our house, and then I went back inside. I have a client who works in a big corporate center, and she said, oh, I found my little loop where I walk down to the other end of the building, go down the stairs, walk back on a different floor, and go back up the stairs again. Really nice walk after my lunch. I have another client who worked in a walk with a coworker because then she got that nice connection with someone else at that time, which also is an active stress reducer, along with the blood sugar lowering from the walk. So think about adding that in for weight loss. So interesting, huh? We have some evidence that having a better gut microbiome may help with weight loss. So it turns out that exercise helps your gut microbiome be healthier. More to come on that when we actually have better data. Now, it's funny because exercise is not proven for weight loss, but it is proven for weight maintenance. In fact, I would almost say it's crucial for weight maintenance. So dial into the good nutrition, the sleep, stress reduction, hydration for your weight loss journey. But at some point, you're going to want to get going on some exercise because it will help you maintain your weight once you have lost the weight. And I have talked to more than one person whose exercise was kind of derailed by an injury after losing weight, and they have described the struggle of trying to keep their weight maintained when they can't exercise at that maintenance level. So some studies show that people who walk an hour every day do really well with this. So at some point along your journey, you're going to want to exercise for weight maintenance. All right, that's the weight loss stuff. Let's talk about menopause symptoms. So exercise is super great for menopause symptoms. It decreases brain fog. It decreases hot flashes and night sweats. And as I've said before, it actively decreases stress levels. Again, we've got issues with cortisol in the menopausal transition, and this can help with that. The recommended thing is 5 sweaty workouts a week. You pick. That may be moderate cardio. It may be a weight training class. It really gets your blood pumping. It may be a long walk that gets you sweaty. All of these things help. So take a look at that if you want to help yourself out with your menopause symptoms. How about health in general? Our bones need exercise. And we start thinking about our bones when we hit that menopause transition, right? We're worried about osteoporosis. Our bones need exercise and they need something to push against. So lifting, some machines, and anything that you do on your feet will help your bones. So water aerobics and swimming don't help. So if you're worried about impact because of joints, it's a good time to talk to your doctor about what activities would be good for you to do that can help with your bones and are safe for the rest of your body. Your heart and lungs, cardiovascular exercise is the one thing that you need to do for that. And for many reasons, moderate exercise, 30 minutes, 5 times a week, is what's recommended for women at the midlife transition and beyond. It lowers your LDL, your bad cholesterol. It increases your good cholesterol, your HDL. For people who are menopausal, it lowers your triglycerides. Amazing. Sometimes people's blood pressure gets better with exercise. I know some of you have some family genetics you can't work against, but this can help for most people. Your heart and lungs are better with exercise. People with lung disease are recommended some form of exercise. People with heart disease get better circulation with exercise. As I mentioned before about insulin resistance, exercise decreases diabetes and decreases your chance of getting diabetes. It is recommended for people who have type 1 diabetes as well. So because of the cardiovascular benefits and other health benefits. So this is important there. Exercise for your brain, super important when you think about the menopause transition. It increases neurogenesis. Your brain actually grows, which means you have less brain shrinkage as you get older if you are an exerciser. It increases neuroplasticity, which means you can learn things better, you can pivot better, and it decreases brain fog in menopause, as I mentioned. We actually have studies that show it reverses cognitive decline. So people, if you're feeling like, gosh, I'm doing worse with my brain, if you exercise it, make it better. There's a 35% lower risk of dementia for people who exercise regularly. And when they look at people who have Alzheimer's disease, those who are exercisers actually have fewer plaques in their brain. How about cancer? There is a risk reduction of certain cancers. I'll give you the list: bladder, breast, colon, endometrial, esophageal, kidney, stomach, and skin. Now, obviously, there are other things we need to do, like we need to protect our skin from the sun, but exercise does reduce our risk of all of these. And also, it reduces the risk of recurrence of many cancers as well. How about just longevity? You want to live longer and healthier. People who exercise regularly, that 5 days a week, they decrease their risk of an early death by 21 to 31%. That's a big decrease. So the Blue Zones people are not science, but they are communities where people live to be 100 or more than anybody else on the planet. And they are active people. They walk up and down hills. They walk places during their day. They sit on the floor and they get back up again. So where can you be more active in your life? Are there chores that you maybe have hired out that you might want to do because they're active? Do you have a a fitness tracker that tells you to get up from your computer every hour. What else do we need for longevity? Balance and flexibility in our exercise. This helps us avoid frailty and avoid falls. So a good test is to see, can you stand on each leg for 10 seconds? Now, if you can't do that, it might be something worth working toward. Stand by a chair and keep trying it until you get there. Watch how long you can do it and see if it improves. You can always improve. So flexibility and balance help us avoid falls, which is something we start to see at the midlife transition in our older relatives, right? And we worry about. So we want to avoid this for ourselves. There's some obvious things that work for this. Yoga and mat Pilates are helpful, but also think about functional movements, sports, gardening, hiking, dancing, things where you're moving around on your feet if you're someone who walks around on their feet. If you're able, can you sit on the floor and get back up again? I know there's that viral thing where everyone was doing this, sit down and get back up again without, using your hands or putting a knee down or anything. Don't worry about those kind of metrics. But one of the things I noticed when I was watching the Blue Zones documentary was that many of these people did have a part of their day where they did sit down on the ground and get back up again. And it made me think that I wanted to put that in my day. I had another client who also does this. And so she and I both talked about how we get down on the floor to play with our pets. And I don't have to do that, but I thought I need to intentionally do this every day so that I'm good at getting down and getting back up again. Because, my kids are grown. I don't have a lot of reason to get down on the floor. I can reach down and pick things up without actually going all the way down. And if you can, it's worth noticing how it feels to get down on the ground and get back up again, and do this as a practice. Another really important functional movement is, can you squat to the toilet or squat to a chair? I used to round in nursing homes, and there's a whole segment of people who are there because they can't get down and up from the toilet anymore, and so they can't stay at home. So if you're someone who's falling to the toilet, can you work on getting some strength so that you can squat down, get back up without aid? Work toward it. Start where you are and work toward it. Okay, so in summary, exercise for weight loss is not proven, but we know it helps with our metabolism, we know it helps with sleep, and we know it helps with active stress reduction. And we know you're going to need it for weight maintenance. Exercise is the one thing for health and longevity. One of the reasons I'm bringing this up is, as I close here, is that women in midlife are the most inconsistent exercisers of all. And maybe listening to this, you're starting to feel overwhelmed. But think to yourself, how can I do it? What's 1% better than what I'm doing now? If we change 1%, we actually will end up in a different place. If we change nothing, we will just continue on the path where we are. So I would say, think about, what will you do this week? Think of one thing to do this week. As I mentioned before, you do need to, check in with your doctor and healthcare provider. What kind of exercise is safe for you? And pay attention to how you feel when you exercise in case any new symptoms are coming up that need medical attention. But thank you so much for being with me today. Subscribe to the podcast or YouTube so that you never miss an episode. And please give the podcast a 5-star rating so that more people can get the message about healthy weight loss and healthy menopause life. Perhaps you have a friend that needs to hear this episode, so please feel free to share it. Thanks so much. Great to be with you today. Bye-bye.